where science still makes sense. Study the means, not the extremes. So let's get started. You can find many articles or videos complaining that science has lost its way when trying to study the extreme ends of any measurement scale, such as time, distance, or mass. And why is this so? Because our brains aren't smart enough to deal with the complexity or infinitely large or small concepts lurking there. And the mathematical models at those ends of the scales are fantasy rather than factual. So scientists should stick to the mean or the center, because the mathematics is easier and the math is probability and statistics, and those branches of mathematics are much easier than calculus or abstract algebra. And the scientists can also see what they are studying. And in this video, we, that is, we human beings, are the objects under the microscope. Darwin's theory of evolution and Freud's psychology of the mind were among the first scientific theories that came from modern science. And ever since then, biologists and neuroscientists have extended what they say. One of the most intriguing books exploring this is The Selfish Gene, written by Richard Dawkins. He was among the first to conclude that survival of the fittest for individuals might need to be updated, because each of us is not in control of what we do. We might think we are, but actually our genes are in control. And they are selfish. They don't care about us, but rather they care about their survival. Our genes make us do things that might not be in our best interests. Here are some examples from the animal kingdom. Some female spiders and all praying mantis females eat the male after copulating. That's definitely not in the male's best interests, but he does so anyway, and the genes know that he is now expendable. The female turns him into a meal. Very, very efficient, I would think. And many social animal species have an altruistic instinct programmed into their DNA. Individuals will sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Modern evolutionary biologists and neuroscientists talk about our genes containing information that our brain processes. And it's not too far a stretch of our understanding to consider the genes contain our moral and ethical systems, which are sometimes called memes. And they are also known as the inherited traits of civilization. These systems can often be at odds with the survival of the individual. A practical book for learning about how ethical systems are embedded and expressed in people is the book How Good People Make Tough Choices by M. Rushworth Kidder. In it, he explains 4 ethical paradigms or models. They are truth versus loyalty. Should we tell the truth or stay loyal to the person that ask you to keep it a secret. Individual versus community. Should we look out for ourselves or make decisions that are for the good of the community? Short-term versus long-term. Should we spend today or save for the long term? And justice versus mercy. Should we throw the book at an offender or grant them leniency? You might enjoy reading the book. Students in my business ethics class enjoy it. Neuroscientists tell us that identifying specific genes that control our behavior or emotions is fraught with complexity caused by the sheer number of genes and the interaction among them. But at least the scientists can construct clinical studies using double-blind design and statistical analysis to contingently prove their conjectures. We should expect to see great strides in the synthesis of DNA and artificial intelligence in the coming decades. And I'll end this video by mentioning the book titled The Aftermath, The Last Days of the Baby Boom and the Future of Power in America by author Philip Bump. He's a writer for the Washington Post, and in this book he uses statistics to analyze population trends for the baby boom generation. And he gives a great classification of our generations. A generation is a population cohort born within a 25-year time period. Here are our generation names starting in 1880. The Lost Generation, the Greatest, or GI Generation, the Silent, or Beat Generation, then the Boomers, then Generation X, also known as the Echo Boomers, Generation Y, or the Millennials, Gen Z, and Generation Alpha, which are the children born just before COVID-19 and extending to the present. In this book, the author explores the boomer generation. Of course, it is older, but it is also whiter, more religious, and less likely to have immigrant parents. They're also less likely to have a college degree than is what we find now to be sort of average among our overall population. Boomers support our traditional social institutions and tend to live in suburbs or smaller cities rather than the urban megacenters. These statistical charts in the book tell a story of where demographic trends are taking us. And there is nothing to be frightened of, because every generation always figures out a path forward. You might enjoy reading the book, or maybe even better, watching a YouTube interview of the author. So I will stop here and thank you for listening. And bye-bye until next time.